have two major facets in my life. One is of course art, where I have initiated the first private museum, the Kiran Nadar Museum of Art. And the other is the game of bridge, which I've been playing for about 30 odd years. And just recently we participated in the Asian Games. I was part of the mixed team and we got a bronze in the game. At the end of the day it was a little disappointing because we expected to do better, but nevertheless it was wonderful to win a medal for India, and we were given a great welcome by the Prime Minister himself, who had met all the teams which won medals at the Asian Games, and also we were honoured by the Delhi government. So all in all it was a great happening. And of course art has a huge role to play in my life. I have been collecting art from the 1990s, sort of early 1990s, and in 2010 we set up the Kiran Nadar Museum of Art in Noida first and then in Saket. So we're coming up to 10 years later, next year, and so it's been a very interesting journey. And now we are looking to build a standalone museum which will start sometime next year. The aim of KNMA was to get art exposed, or to get people exposed to art, and this is purely a philanthropic avenue. So what we started with is the museum itself, which is a free of cost, where the art is displayed. It is all from the collection of KNMA. What was part of my collection is now being donated to the museum. So it is playing a big role, but then we decided we should do public art projects, and we started the first one in Noida, where we painted the underpass, one of the underpasses, and we are now doing the metro stations, 10 metro stations in Noida, which we are painting. And along with that, we are doing a public art project with the Qutub Minar, which is in conjunction with the government of Delhi. So these are some of the public institutions which we are taking up and to expose art in a wider sense. All over the West, there are museums, galleries and public art projects. And public art projects are something which need to be accentuated, especially in a place like India, where art is not followed as dynamically as it is in the West. In the West, art is a known form where it's followed much more extensively. In India, especially in the city of Delhi, the art-going population is very small. So public art projects are to do a lot to further this. Well, one of the reasons people are indifferent to being involved with Indian art is lack of knowledge. And also they find art distant. They're not able to, one, it's not affordable to most people, so they don't get interested in areas where they cannot link themselves directly. But it's only out of education and being exposed to art can they become more aware and more discerning. Not everybody can afford to buy art, but to learn to appreciate art goes a long way. And we as an institution believe that it's important to expose people to coming and seeing that art and getting exposed, the public getting exposed to our rich heritage. Art in India is made up of really three different, you can look at them as three different avenues. One is I'm talking about modern contemporary. The Ravi Varma era, where modern Indian art really starts from. Linked to that is the Bengal school, which is Rabindranath Tagore, Abanindranath Tagore, but also Pines and later artists from the Bengal school. Then there's the progressive art group, which was Hussain, Souza, Raza, and this was a very, very important period of art for India because it came up in 1947 or just post-independence, and they wanted to make a point of Indian art coming as a modern Indian statement. After the progressives, we've had the neo-progressives, so to speak, people like Arpita Singh, whose exhibition we are going to be opening, and Manjeet Bawa and Ramesh Bruta, who have been also who are also senior artists. Added to that, we today have contemporary artists who are younger artists who have made a name for themselves in promoting their own works of art. So there are different levels of art which are made up of the various genres we have in India. And we collect across the board. So we are having two very different shows. At Noida we are having a show of 5 Bengal artists, that is Ganesh Pine, Somnath Kaur, Meera Mukherjee, Jogi Da, and Ganesh Haloy. And at Saket we are going to be opening on the 29th a show of Arpita Singh, who is today 83 years old, and she's one of the foremost women artists of India. So this is a show that we are going to be staging. This is the first major retrospective of Arpita's. And in the last 6 or 7 years, we've had a number of retrospectives. We've had a retrospective of the 3 important Baroda artists, Nasreen Mohammadi, Himmat Shah and Jairam Patel. We had a retrospective of Rameshwar Bruta. We had a retrospective of Ivan Sundaram. So these are the important retrospectives that we have already held, and now we are holding a major retrospective of Arpita Singh. So when we do shows, they are mainly from our collection, although the Arpita show has a lot of works which are going to be on loan from her collectors. Also, we've had 2 shows of works that don't belong to us. We had a show of our tribal artist, Jangar Singh Sham, which has just finished at Saket. It was a wonderful tribal artist show. He was 39 when he committed suicide, and we were fortunate to be able to show his work. And then about a year ago, we had the collection of Mr. Kuldeep Singh of Tanjavur paintings. So we showed 300 works of his collection. So our aim is to expose people from all spheres of Indian art, be it modern, contemporary, or antiquities. No, it shouldn't actually. The sculpture has been there for, I think, upward of 4 to 5 years. And unfortunately, the DLF mall had started populating that area with a lot of stalls. and that was sort of ruining the look of the sculpture. So we decided that it also needed to be rested. Any work of art which is overexposed is not good. So we had decided to put it to rest. Unfortunately, the process has taken over a year and a half, because to deinstall, it's a mammoth work. To deinstall the work, we had to get the engineers down from London. And they were finally able to come just early this month, and so we finally deinstalled the work. So yes, in a way, we're going to miss such a giant work of art. But hopefully once the museum comes up, we will reinstall it in some important part of the museum. No, I don't think there's any deafening silence. I think Me Too is something which is hitting many areas of Indian life, also life abroad, very, very definitive. But somewhere Me Too can become a very loud noise, and I think it should be put into perspective, and whoever is being targeted in Me Too, I think there should be proof about the importance of the Me Too allegation, and then definitely it is an awful attribute, Me Too of any kind, that women or men too can be targeted in this way. I think I've become much more mature. I am still reasonably, I still collect in quite a large way, but I think I have matured to a large extent, and today I collect where I feel there is a gap in the collection. I prefer to collect in those areas, although some works which are not easy to get, if one of those works comes to me, then I'm easily drawn to that work and do get tempted. Plan is to start the construction of the museum. We have finally fixed the land. It's going to be in Noida, but just next to Delhi. And we have 3.5 acres. We just finished a competition which was held by a foreign consultant. And we have earmarked 5 architects, and we will take a decision soon. So that's going to be a major event on our calendar. But of course, till the museum comes up, which will take at least 2.5 to 3 years, these 2 museums will continue, and we will continue to have many shows. We roughly have 2 to 3 shows in each location. So that will continue. I'd like to thank all the viewers for watching ACF, and I hope you have enjoyed this little interview, giving you some